Hello everyone, my name is Adarsh Raj Bhatt and I am the author of the article titled Gandhi, the Economist. What's interesting is that only earlier this week, I came across a news story saying Mahatma Gandhi's glasses sold for 2.5 crores at an auction in the UK. It's quite the headline to carry, isn't it? That kind of story got me thinking about the sheer irony of someone as famously simplistic, austere, and non-materialistic as Gandhi ending up raising crores of money 72 years after his death, and that too with his reading glasses. And I think that story is a great point from which to start to comprehend Gandhi as an economist. This persona of Gandhi is not very well known because of the fact that Gandhi was never a pure economist. In fact, the key tenets of his economic doctrine seem to be direct extensions or reflections of his philosophy of life, and not of any rigorous academic education in economics. Therefore, by deciphering his economic propositions, we are pretty well positioned to understand the beliefs and psychology of this great man. Back in Gandhi's days, 80% of India was poor, languishing in villages. Since it was industrialization that stripped many Indians of employment, and therefore shot out of this crippling poverty, Gandhi resolved to counter industrialization as part of his endeavor to address the socio-economic plight of extreme poverty. To do so, he proposed the establishment of the Sarvodaya system of economy, under which production would be decentralized in sync with rapid development of rural cottage industry, such that local requirements are met with local materials and by local labor. Which, come to think of it, is an approach championed by another pretty well-known face in our times. Gandhi additionally espoused the doctrines of the equality of labor, dignity of labor, and the law of bread labor. It was Gandhi's big dream that every Indian village would someday be transformed into an economically self-sufficient unit. And these are the same lines along which Gandhi's ashrams functioned. Yet another proof that his economics were a representation of his personal existential philosophy. This was a leader who always had an exquisite sensitivity to the pains experienced by the everyday Indian. One particular instance that I think shows his intelligence and farsightedness is when he led the peasants of Champaran and Kheda in a rebellion against the British-backed zamindari system. As we know, the landlord ceded some ground, tyrannical taxation policies were eliminated, and the rebellion was mostly successful. But that's not the interesting bit. What he did in Champaran was not just liberate peasants economically, but he also kind of used their faith in him to influence them to end discrimination on the basis of caste and the oppression of women. That's clever. That's two birds with one arrow. But more importantly, that's visionary. Because for Gandhi, Swaraj didn't just end at an independent India. Instead, Swaraj, true Swaraj, meant that every single citizen would live with respect, dignity, and political autonomy, ruled only by their own self. When the Britishers introduced European clothing, Gandhi introduced the khadi industry right back at them. When they set up labor displacing machines, he campaigned for labor saving machines, like the spinning wheel. While he thought that everyone should be allowed to earn as much as they want to, fairly, he also believed in the trusteeship doctrine for the benefit of the poor and the hungry. Maybe the reason why his model was not accepted in post-independence India is that he was a man both behind and ahead of his time. Behind, because he wanted to resurrect the exchange economy and the ancient village economies, and ahead, because he predicted, before anyone, that mechanization would cost millions of people their jobs, as is the case today with automation. So, question on everyone's minds, was he capitalist or was he socialist? Well, turns out neither. He approached both with skepticism, believing that capitalism encouraged materialism and blind lust at the cost of one's spirituality, morality, culture, and community, while socialism, not the better, empowered the state with powers to inflict large-scale violence. This shows that his faith was not completely in individuals or the state. Instead, his faith seemed to rest in faith itself. Thanks for tuning in today. If this sort of talk interested you, read the full article and join me as I dive deeper into the world of Gandhi, the Economist. Have a good day.